19 brothers, one throne, and a decision that would echo through history like a curse. The night Mehmed III became Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, he inherited more than power. He inherited a problem no ruler could ignore. 19 princes stood between him and absolute control. 19 possible rebellions, 19 possible civil wars. History remembers him as ruthless, as a man who ordered the execution of his own blood. But history rarely pauses to ask a more uncomfortable question. What if he had not? The Ottoman Empire in the late 16th century was not a fragile state. It was a colossal power stretching across Europe, Asia, and North Africa. Armies disciplined, bureaucracy organized, enemies cautious but patient. Yet inside the palace, instability was always one heartbeat away. Unlike many monarchies, the Ottoman throne did not pass automatically to the eldest son. There was no guaranteed succession. Every prince was raised as a potential sultan. They governed provinces. They built alliances. They earned loyalty from soldiers and officials. And when a sultan died, the race began. Brothers did not simply mourn, they mobilized. Ottoman history had already witnessed the chaos of divided succession. Princes had fought brutal wars against each other. Armies had split. Cities had burned. The empire had trembled from internal fracture. The lesson was carved into the state's memory. Multiple claimants meant instability. Instability meant bloodshed on a massive scale. Over time, a doctrine emerged. Harsh, cold, calculated. Better to eliminate rivals immediately than to risk a civil war that could last years. By the time Mehmed ascended the throne in 1595, this logic was no longer controversial within the palace walls. It was policy. When his father died, the window for hesitation closed instantly. Every surviving prince represented a flag that ambitious commanders could rally behind. Every brother was a future battlefield. Imagine the pressure of that moment. Outside the palace, the empire appeared stable. Inside, uncertainty could ignite conspiracy within hours. If he spared them, he risked appearing weak. If he delayed, factions could form. If he underestimated a single rival, the empire might descend into civil war. So he acted, not in rage, not in public spectacle, but with administrative precision. The order was given, the executions carried out. 19 lives ended in a single night. To modern minds, it feels monstrous. It violates everything we associate with family, morality, and humanity. But the 16th century imperial mindset was not shaped by modern ethics. It was shaped by precedent and fear. Each brother alive was not merely kin. He was a political variable. He was a potential claimant. He was a possible war. And war in an empire of that scale would not be contained within palace walls. Provincial governors might declare independence. Foreign powers would seize opportunity. Borders would fracture. Trade would collapse. An empire that size could unravel shockingly fast. From a strategic standpoint, Mehmed eliminated uncertainty. And uncertainty, in politics, is often more dangerous than cruelty. In the years that followed, there was no succession war. No rival army marched on the capital. No decade-long internal collapse shattered the state. The empire continued functioning. Campaigns proceeded. Administration remained intact. The objective, stability, had been achieved. But stability came at a price. His name became permanently associated with fratricide. Yet here is the paradox of power. Rulers are often judged by outcomes, not intentions. If civil war had erupted, history might have condemned him as weak. Because he prevented it, history condemns him as ruthless. Was he cruel? Yes. Was he operating within the accepted political framework of his time? Also yes. The Ottoman system had evolved through painful experience. Earlier succession struggles had nearly broken the empire apart. Policy hardened. Mercy became secondary to continuity. When you sit on a throne surrounded by ambition, loyalty becomes conditional. Family becomes political. Emotion becomes liability. The higher the power, the narrower the choices. For Mehmed, the decision was not framed as good versus evil. It was framed as control versus chaos. One contained night of horror, or the unpredictable devastation of civil war. He chose certainty. He chose consolidation. He chose to remove every possible rival before they could remove him. And in doing so, he secured his rule, at least in the short term. But the shadow of that decision lingered. Because power achieved through fear carries its own consequences. It shapes how history remembers you. It defines your legacy beyond your policies, beyond your victories, beyond your governance. Today, centuries later, we look back and ask, was he a monster? Or was he a ruler shaped by a brutal system that left no room for hesitation? Empires are not sustained by innocence. They are sustained by decisions made under pressure, decisions that ordinary people never have to face. 19 brothers, one throne, one night that secured an empire and stained a name forever. So, before judging from the comfort of modern morality, ask yourself something difficult. If you were sitting on that throne, if you knew hesitation could trigger civil war, if you understood that mercy might cost millions of lives in the long run, what would you have done?